Tonight on CFTK-TV News, a very popular former BC Premier has passed away. Canada Post's workers are set to go on strike soon, and we have more word on the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cal Vaslin, and here's what's making news in the Northwest and beyond. The mood is somber at the BC legislature after John Horgan's passing. Horgan was one of BC's most popular premiers ever, even though he was initially reluctant to take the job.
Flags at the legislature at half-mast as condolences pour in from all corners of Canada on the passing of former BC Premier John Horgan.
It's a sad day to get that news this morning, about John from Langford.
John from Langford, as he was known in the West Shore, a man who got into politics to make a difference in his community.
He had passion for Langford. He moved here in 1979 and basically, was part of the community. And he took on politics just like he did, for his community here and did a great job of it.
Former Langford Mayor Stu Young will remember Horgan as a man who was able to relate to everyone. The Horgan family releasing a statement today saying, "Our hearts are broken to announce the passing of our beloved husband, father, and friend John Horgan. John passed away peacefully this morning at the Royal Jubilee Hospital in Victoria. The well-being of British Columbia and everyone in it was everything to him. He was surrounded by family, friends, and love in his final days. Ellie and the rest of his family asked for privacy during this time of mourning. Live long and prosper."
He just means so much to me and my family.
Inside the legislature building, an emotional MLA, Ravi Parmar, who was taken under Horgan's wing from a young age after showing an interest in politics. Parmar was able to visit with John before his passing, where he was offered some final advice from his mentor.
It's not about one person, it's about the people of BC. That was his final advice to me just a couple of days ago.
He was always a CFAX listener. I knew that. He told me that. He kind of grew up listening to the station.
Over the years, Horgan would often call into the CFAX morning show unprompted. Soon Al Fairby and John from Langford became friends.
We got to know him as much as he got to know us in radio, which was a special thing.
Horgan even asked Fairby to sing "O Canada" at his swearing-in ceremony as Premier.
It was a tremendous honor to do something like that at that moment.
In 2022, Horgan stepped down from his role as Premier after 2 cancer diagnoses. That cancer returned earlier this year, ultimately taking his life. The man known as John from Langford was 65. Brendan Strain, CTV News, Victoria.
In the wake of Horgan's passing, former Skeena MLA Ellis Ross had some words to say in reflection of the leader that he sat opposed to.
Away from the political arena, he was actually a really good guy. I remember he was brand new to being a premier, and he had family and friends that he was turning through the legislature. And I went running up the stairs from the restaurant, and he stopped on the stairs. And he said, "Oh, I want you to introduce you to the MLA from Skeena, just recently elected." And so this is Ellis Ross. So number one, I was pretty surprised that he would do that, always given the politics. And number two, I was surprised he remembered my name and remembered my writing. And I was really grateful for that. So away from the political arena, he was a really good guy. He was a really good man.
In a release from earlier this morning, Canada Post got a notification from the Canadian Union of Postal Workers that they will be going on strike in about 72 hours from now. But despite this strike notice, the union did also mention that its National Executive Board has not made a choice on if a job action will happen, with the board declaring that the decision will depend on what choices Canada Post makes during the next few days of bargaining. And according to Stephen McKinnon, the Labour Minister, the federal government has been telling both sides to find some common ground and get a settlement done before the strike deadline passes. But even if the strike happens, Canada Post has stated that they will still find a way to keep delivering while they continue to negotiate. According to a recent report that was released by the BC Northern Real Estate Board, the third quarter of 2024 saw Prince Rupert's average selling prices of residential properties and sales volume increase a fair bit. Compared to the numbers during September of last year, which were at 115 properties worth $46.6 million, the numbers at September of this year have jumped to 126 properties worth $50.2 million. But despite those increases, the report did also disclose that within the same period of time, the home sales throughout the broader region did end up dipping by about 8.7%. Prince Rupert's average price for residential detached housing was about $446,510 back in July, and by September it had gone up to around $450,593, just a bit above the average price in the north. Between November 11th and 22nd, the First Nations Climate Initiative is attending the United Nations Climate Conference in Azerbaijan with a specific goal in mind. The initiative is planning on outlining the progress that they have made on their ongoing project, which is seeing the construction of a renewable energy network that will cover all of Northwest BC. This is said to be the third year in a row that the FNCI has joined the Canadian delegation at the conference, which is taking place this year in Baku, Azerbaijan, a place that requires traveling to just off of the coast of the Caspian Sea. The project they are speaking on is officially called the North Coast Electrification Project, which is made up of 2 phases and is supposed to create a transmission line that spans from Prince George to Terrace and helps create clean energy for all Northwest residents. Coming up next, opinions on the federal government closing Canadian TikTok offices are coming in. Welcome back. RCMP have confirmed reports of a missing person search and rescue underway at Kitwonkool Lake, about 14 kilometers north of Gitniao and 33 kilometers north of Kitwanga. Corporal Madonna Saunderson confirmed that New Hazelton RCMP got a report of a missing person on November 10th. It was reported that an adult male has gone kayaking alone on Kitwonkool Lake and had not returned. RCMP, search and rescue, and volunteers have been searching for the missing man. Reports on social media identify the missing man as 21-year-old Aiden Waddle. His family writes that they believe he was kayaking on the lake and may have gotten out to hunt. His kayak has reportedly been located. Reports have come in through Facebook requesting assistance, especially that of those with boats, to help the search and rescue, and also there are reports of people searching on foot and in waters, and heading out to the boats with the scene. There is reportedly no Wi-Fi or cell service at the lake. Others involved in the search have posted on Facebook that anyone going out to help should dress warm, and more information is expected to come. The war between Russia and Ukraine has been going on for a while now, and as evidenced by some recent footage from the Ukrainian military, it doesn't appear to be ending anytime soon. CTV's Heather Wright now on what that footage contained.
Ukraine released this drone footage showing a number of strikes on Russian troops in Kursk. It's Russian territory that was taken by Ukraine this past summer, and one that Russia is aiming to reclaim with tens of thousands of troops, including some from North Korea now assembled along the border. Russia's push comes as both sides exchanged waves of drone attacks. At least 8 people were killed in Ukraine overnight, while Moscow was attacked with 34 drones on Sunday, the biggest drone strike on the Russian capital since the war began. This wave of attacks comes as the Washington Post reported that U.S. President-elect Donald Trump spoke to the Russian president and told him not to escalate the war any further, a conversation the Kremlin has denied. It is completely untrue, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters. It is pure fiction. Trump's team says they do not comment on private calls between the president and other world leaders. The future of U.S. support for Ukraine remains unclear following Trump's re-election. Some believe Russia may be rushing to take back Kursk, with the prospect of a U.S. negotiated truce on the table.
I think there is an opportunity here to end this in some shape or form.
Retired Major General David Fraser believes any future ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine will mean Ukraine gives up territory it has lost.
This is not going to be resolved to the benefit of Ukrainians or the West. This is just a bad end to a bad story, and it will give opportunities for other despots around the world to do something similar.
Trump has said he would be able to end this war before taking office. Kursk would be a major bargaining chip for Ukraine in any ceasefire negotiation if they're able to hang on to it. Heather Wright, CTV News.
Vancouver's advertising industry members are weighing in on the federal government's order to close TikTok's Vancouver and Toronto offices. As CTV's Isabella Zavarisi reports, they think the decision could create uncertainty for those trying to make money on the platform.
Known for its entertaining videos TikTok has over 1 billion users. Despite its popularity, the federal government has ordered the company to shutter its Canadian operations following a security review.
We came to the conclusion that the activities conducted at the offices of TikTok in Toronto and in Vancouver would be injurious to our national security.
Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne didn't elaborate on details behind the security concerns. Users can still access the video sharing app.
If you want a gorgeous bed with storage, this bed is it.
TikTok has become a natural fit for brands as they look to content creators to sell their products. But one local creator thinks the Fed's decision could force a pivot to other platforms.
I would say that a lot of creators aren't going to put as much time and effort into the app anymore.
Aaron Souza says financial opportunities for Canadian creators are already limited. Canadians don't have access to TikTok Shop or the Creator Fund, a feature that monetizes content.
It seems like if Canada's almost ramping down, creators won't be getting the same opportunities that our American counterparts have.
It just feels like kind of the wrong move.
Scott Keith, the CEO of a Canadian advertising agency, says he would have liked government engagement prior to the decision.
Why are they actually doing this? When they just say, hey, we're going to shut this down because of a security issue, it just doesn't really feel Canadian.
TikTok says, quote, shutting down TikTok's Canadian offices and destroying hundreds of well-paying local jobs is not in anyone's best interest, and adds it will challenge the order in court. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
Turning to tonight's weather, the North Coast will see a chance of showers with a low of 4 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area should deal with the chance of showers as well, while getting a different low at 2 degrees. And the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District is expected to get snow and a low of -4 degrees. On the North Coast, the next week or so should be made up of lots of rain and not much else, while the high shifts between 9 and 5 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the week for them is likely to contain a mixture of rain and snow, with the high moving from 5 to 1 degree. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, the upcoming week will also be a bit of a mix of snow and rain, as their high bounces between -1 and 6 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there is slippery sections, maintenance work, utility work, construction work, and bridge maintenance. Highway 118 has some slippery sections too. Highway 37A has some slippery sections as well. 37A also has slippery sections. There is some construction work on the Nishka Highway, and the Telegraph Creek Road has slippery sections as well. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come is a look at a home appliance-based unfortunate occurrence that people should watch out for. Welcome back. A washing machine is a home appliance that many people either use or own, and most of the newer models come with glass doors, and while the doors are generally considered safe, occasionally they happen to shatter for no apparent reason, leaving behind shards of broken glass. CTV's Pat Foran reports.
When I came in, first thing I saw this whole floor covered with glass.
Gord Robinson of Mississauga says it was last week when he was in the kitchen and heard a loud bang.
I was sitting here and I hear glass break. So I looked up around here, I didn't see it. I looked outside, didn't see anything. So I just forgot about it. Then about an hour later, my wife came out and she went in the laundry room and it was full of glass.
The washing machine was empty and hadn't been used for 2 days when the glass door burst into pieces.
Nothing was in there, it just shattered for some reason.
The washer is a 4-year-old Electrolux, and when Robinson contacted the company, he was told, this unit is already out of warranty and it will be an out-of-pocket expense. You may contact a local servicer to replace the door. Robinson feels it's a safety issue that should be addressed.
To me, it is more than a glass break-in or a warranty. It's a safety issue.
This past summer, we also did a story with Lacey Hepworth when the glass door on her Samsung washer shattered without warning.
I was sleeping and the explosion of the glass was so loud it woke me up.
And 3 years ago, we spoke with Nora Schrammick when the glass door on her washer, also an Electrolux, burst into shards of glass.
The glass in the laundry completely shattered.
Manufacturers say glass shattering on a washing machine door is highly unusual and could be caused by a direct impact. Coins, keys, or other metal objects left in a washing machine could also cause nicks and scratches that could weaken the glass over time. After CTV News reached out to Electrolux, a spokesperson said, even though his warranty is no longer valid, we offered him a discount on parts to repair his unit. Our team will work with Mr. Robinson until it's resolved. Robinson wanted to warn others what can happen.
Yeah, there have been people inside of there when that happened. It could have caused serious injury.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Next up, we have a story on how a call that falsely claims that someone was bringing a firearm to a school preceded a numerous amount of the same type of calls being made and what impact they made on the schools that were affected by them. CTV's Krista Simpson has more information.
On May 29th of this year, Water Regional Police received a call from an individual threatening to bring a handgun to St. Mary's High School in Kitchener and to cause harm to students.
That call led to the closure of the school for 2 days and canceled a Relay for Life cancer fundraiser.
WRPS investigators determined that the call was a false report designed to elicit a significant police response, an action known as swatting.
Around the same time, the threat of a mass shooting shut down classes at Cameron Heights Collegiate Institute for a day. Over the next few months, there were numerous other swatting calls. 8 threats of shootings at St. Mary's, but also other places. There was a threat of a mass shooting during Canada Day celebrations at Victoria Park in Kitchener.
In another, plans to shoot individuals and detonate a pipe bomb at a Kitchener shopping center were reported. In June, the caller threatened to shoot a family, including young children, at a Kitchener residence.
Officers responded to and investigated each incident, coming to the same conclusion.
Every single report was false.
But police say the harm caused was very real.
Schools have been closed, events have been canceled, and victims and witnesses have feared for their safety.
Police say their investigation involved specialized units and hundreds of hours of work. Search warrants were executed, including one at a Kitchener residence, and multiple electronic devices were seized and analyzed. On November 4th, they charged a 15-year-old male from Kitchener. Because of his age, his name cannot be released. But he's now facing 29 charges related to public mischief, uttering death threats, and criminal harassment. Police couldn't say why the accused targeted these specific and various places.
It's part of the judicial process at this time, and we don't have necessarily a motive behind all of it.
Regional police say their investigation is ongoing, but at this time they don't anticipate making any further arrests in this case.
And they have this message about how seriously this behavior is taken.
Let me be clear. These swatting incidents are not harmless pranks. They're crimes, and they have no place in our community.
Krista Simpson, CTV News.
And now for a profile from Connor Hogg on a theater that hasn't been in use for quite some time now, and why there's been a bit of trouble in the efforts to sell the place.
The Princess Theater on White Avenue is vacant. Empty for years now, with a for sale or lease sign in the window.
It was a great theater in its day, and it's just a kind of a black hole right now.
Graffiti stains the historic marble exterior. Pandemic remnants remain on the marquee, though the restrictions are long lifted. It's hoped a new owner can appreciate what's underneath.
Since the Princess Theater closed, there have been more than 100 real estate tours of the building, but there are some stipulations with what can be done.
We've had 5 offers, but
between them getting signed and to completion, there's just been issues in between.
The main issue is money. Built in 1914, the Princess is 110 years old. That age means it requires a lot of attention and costly repairs.
Nonprofit groups, there's just a difficulty in getting the money to say buy the place or even lease, but then to account for what renovations they want to do to make it their own.
Fixers are needed in both the main theater and the downstairs Princess 2. A decaying rooming house sits on the 3rd level. Some prospective buyers have suggested doing more than a renovation. Restaurants, retail, and bars have all been turned down.
The owner would like to see it remain in the arts community. We're just kind of going with more what people tell us they're doing when they come and tour the building. Certain uses they may not even get in the door.
A sentiment Edmontonians we spoke to agree with.
It was certainly an alternative to the big Hollywood blockbuster stuff. These were real films about real people telling real stories. And I miss it.
I'm getting emails and calls and, you do not sell this to a developer. And it's like, I'm not. I'm trying to keep it within the community.
And so the Princess waits for the right person or people to come along.
Tear that down for what? High rises, I don't think we need more of those right here.
I would like to see it reopen as a cinema. I miss it very much.
Everyone involved hoping that soon the popcorn will pop again. Connor Hogg, CTV News, Edmonton.
And now we turn our attention to how the stock markets are looking as of today compared to yesterday. The Canadian dollar is down 16/10 of a cent. The price of gold is down $11.40. Oil is up 8 cents. Natural gas is down 1 cent. Aluminum is down $45.50. In Toronto, the TSX is up 133.73 points. The Venture Index is down 3.69. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 382.16, and Nasdaq is down 17.36. Still ahead is a report on the occurrence of some odd cases, including one in Canada. Welcome back. Canadian scientists are using miniature treadmills to test the strange metabolism of vampire bats. CNN's Jeremy Roth reports on the spine-tingling sprinters and more.
Take a look at bats on a treadmill. Now there's something you don't see every day. A fascinating recent study published in the journal Biology Letters aimed to shed light on bats' blood-fueled metabolism using some very unique methods. Since bats are the only mammals that live solely on the blood of others, researchers at the University of Toronto theorized they derive their energy from burning amino acids instead of fat or carbs like the rest of us. So they fed 24 creepy flying critters cow's blood and stuck them on a mini treadmill for a terrifying test trot. Analyzing chemicals in the exhaled breath, the team found the bats were using amino acids from the consumed blood to fuel their runs, which they say is a method the predators use to stalk prey, and joke that we should all worry less about our necks and more about our ankles. Okay, everybody good and tense? Well, then you're not going to like this. An insane crash caught on camera in New York is being used as a cautionary tale about roadside worker safety. The state's Department of Transportation shared the terrifying crash where a box truck blasted through a roadside construction site. Thankfully, no injuries were reported, and the department added a reminder for drivers to please slow down, move over, and stay alert. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
That is all of our news for now. From everyone at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin, and thank you for watching.